Hello YouTube, this is Steven with On My Way to FIRE, a channel about early retirement and all things investing. And in today's video, I want to talk about the squeezing of the middle class. Alright, so I'm going to link to an article here from Forbes. Hopefully you can view it. There may be a paywall if you viewed additional articles, but check it out if you have a chance. So I think what's happening right now is we're all getting squeezed by rising costs on all sides and whether our wages are going up at the same amount. And a CPI report was just released indicating that inflation was over 4% and wage growth was in the low 3%. So we're effectively losing somewhere around 1% in terms of purchasing power as our wages cannot keep up with the cost of everything going up year after year. And the problem with inflation is it's something that just compounds year over year. And as I've stated in my previous videos, I think we're well over 35% now, just in my own research, though the published amounts seem to be somewhere in the high 20s to the low 30s. But regardless, we're seeing prices go up everywhere we go, and rarely are we seeing any price decreases. So I think what's happening is just a lot of us are feeling it on all sides, and it's leading to some frustration, lack of patience, and it can affect our day-to-day lives and just general quality of life. And I think a lot of things, with the oil, food prices, during COVID especially, I noticed prices started creeping up higher and higher. And I think a lot of these companies took advantage of us and saw it as an easy way to make money by just making up excuses to piggyback off legitimate reasons for price increases. And, we're feeling those effects. And I've watched some videos that are actually pretty helpful of people looking at Walmart and the cost of junk food and soda prices, with the changes in the what used to be called food stamps with EBT and that kind of thing. Certain foods are no longer eligible in certain states, and they are actually seeing that cost of junk food and soda is going down because some of that purchasing was based off subsidy of people purchasing with these food cards. So I think that's showing that that demand is waning on certain items, and they're going to have to be forced to cut the prices. And, these are, I'm going to flat out call it right as I see it, Pepsi, Frito-Lay, they have continually raised prices and done something called shrinkflation, where you get less product for the same amount of money. And then every so often it gets rebranded as value size or family size. But if you actually check the pricing and the content in terms of ounces, and you look at these packages year over year, we're continually getting less product for more money. And then they increase the package to make it seem, maybe even close to the original amount of what it was a few years prior. It's just crazy how all this stuff is going on. So, us as consumers, all we can do is boycott these items, do not purchase them. And then when they do, end up having a sizable drop, then consider purchasing. But, chips and soda, that's just a small part of our budget. I just think it's ridiculous that a 12-pack of soda could be $10. It's unbelievable. I cannot fathom how cost of soda cans got so expensive. But we have to factor in the aluminum, the product, the shipping, the fuel costs and getting that to the store, and the profit margins that these companies want to make. They're just going to keep doing that. So I'll extend this, beyond just food and that kind of thing to even taking vacations, certain locations, just continually raising prices. And another story that I tracked recently was about the World Cup and how the owners of these Airbnb properties, whether it be in a home or an apartment, in certain areas near the games, they're trying to get ridiculous amounts like $1,000, mainly for international people coming in. And it could even be somebody who would want to watch the game that's from the US. They want to take advantage of that tourist population coming in, and rightly so. These properties are not renting, and these people are losing money. And in certain markets like Austin and Nashville, these properties are sitting on the market and they're not getting rented out at the rate that they thought they would, and they're going to have to start selling these properties. So it just overall goes into the greed of what's going on in this country of, whether it be a individual who thinks they're going to hit it big with a rental property or with these big corporations. They're just looking to take advantage of people not price checking, and the urgency, the sense of urgency if they really need, that booking or that product, to see if they'll pay a high price. And I think us as consumers, all we can do is wait it out, buy the absolute essentials, and start making some trade-offs. The consumer sentiment really just hit an all-time low in terms of all the tracking they've ever done for that survey. And I think a lot of that has to do with information overload. We're getting so many notifications from our phone. We're constantly fed news updates. If you trade some stocks and you have a service like Robinhood or another broker, sometimes you start getting news alerts about the company. And I think we're forgetting how to live in the day-to-day, tune out the noise, and just enjoy life on a day-to-day basis. We're constantly reminded as we drive past the gas station of these high prices. And, one silver lining, the gas prices, at least in my area in Southern California, have dropped about 30 to 35 cents in the last couple weeks since I last got gas. And so that's at least somewhat good sign. Something is better than nothing after all these continually increases in the gas costs. But, is it going to hold if there's more conflict in Iran? Do these prices continue to go up again? A lot of questions left unanswered. And I think all we can do is just continue to build a buffer and margin in our budgets month to month. Keep an eye on the essential, absolute things we have to buy, and really be thoughtful in our planning on impulse purchases and things that we, used to consider, a minor luxury, like going out to eat and even getting fast food or taking a short little day trip somewhere and having some activities to do. It takes the spontaneity and the fun out of life, but that's really all we can do. We don't want to show up to a place and be, shocked at these high prices and then say, I already came all this way, I may as well do it. And that's not to say you disregard and not do a trip or not have some fun in the meantime, despite a higher cost. But we have to find some trade-offs in how to save money month to month and, how to budget accordingly so we can have that ability to do something from time to time. And I'm not one to take a fancy luxury vacation for high thousands of dollars, including flight and hotel and all that stuff. I'm very basic in what I need. But I understand different people have different outlooks on what they think's fun and what's something to look forward to. So this is more just like a PSA video, just to say, hey guys, hang in there. Do what you can, when you can, while you can, because I don't see a lot of this improving for us in the long run. We're just going to have to adjust and improve our budgeting and tracking of our bills and see what we can do to improve things for our own lives. And if you can help somebody out, give them some tips, help them get through a tough time, motivate them to work that overtime if it comes up in their job. It's something I've always done. Do what you can to just be a supportive friend. Sometimes people just want to be listened to, just be heard, and they may or may not want a solution, but they just want somebody there just to hear us out. So wishing everybody well, watch those prices, and we'll see you in the next video.